Yo, today I'm going to show you how you can really maximize your yield using Interprotocol's IST stable token. This is really a hands-on tutorial on how to use Cosmos DeFi and not a advice for you to now start investing into any of the pools or protocols or tokens that I'm going to be sharing in this video. This is purely educational. You have to be very aware of the risks of impermanent loss, of contract risk, and all these kind of things, because it is highly experimental and very, very new stuff. So let's get started and get us some IST. There's actually multiple ways on how you can get IST. The first way is you come here on the Interprotocol mint site. Basically, you connect your wallet here, and then you can already see that you can choose multiple types of collateral. You have native Atom, but then you have also stride liquid staked derivatives like Atom, Osmo, TIA. There's also going to be an integration, I think, for persistence, p-stake, liquid stake tokens. And in this tutorial, I'm going to use stTIA, and you're going to see later in the video why stTIA. Since Interprotocol is residing on the Agoric chain, I have to get these assets onto the Agoric network. And what I currently have is Atom on the Cosmos Hub chain. So what do? What I do is I just go on ibc.fun. That's my go-to place. I type in Agoric here. It's actually already at the top. Then I can choose a stable token. Let's just get stTIA here and then choose 40 Atom, which is around $500, that I can just directly swap into stTIA on the Agoric blockchain. So we're going to do it right now. Just takes one transaction. You can see here in the back end what are all the transactions and transfers that are happening. So ibc.fun really pushes the IBC magic into the background. You click approve, and then we're good to go. You can also use Squid Router. That's a similar technology that's using Axelar. ibc.fun is using the Skip API. There's also other places where you can swap and then use manually IBC. You can obviously also just use Osmosis itself. You can also use Astrovault, which is on Archway, or other Cosmos DEXs. So now we want to mint some IST. We can see I have 33.78 TIA available. There's also price for stTIA right now. The minimum is actually 25 IST that we have to mint. So if I were to mint the minimum, it unfortunately doesn't automatically pull those numbers here, because now we're below the 200% collateralization ratio. And to be honest, the UX for minting IST right now is not the best one, right? So you have to manually click here as well. But today I actually want to max out my IST because I want to later on leverage stake my TIA position, basically, because I'm ultra bullish on TIA. But before we can actually do that, I need to do two more things. Number one, I need to get some BLD onto the Agoric chain in order to pay for a transaction. And also I will need to have one IST as an anti-spam measure on my wallet to fund this provision, which will then be deposited into the reserve pool. So we actually have to go back on ibc.fun to make a BLD transfer, and then also to make an IST transfer, because I need at least one IST here at the first time to actually activate that wallet. So we're going to do it with 0.1 Atom each, and then we will get started. Now we got IST and BLD on the Agoric network, more than one IST which is needed to get started the first time, and some BLD also for transaction fees. Now we can actually go ahead and create a vault. We have to proceed here, confirm this transaction. Now, if I go over to check in my wallet, I can now see I have a balance of 275 IST. The question now is, what do I do with this? We can go back here on ibc.fun and actually swap our minted IST into 17.2 stTIA roughly, which not only means we're getting exposure to TIA staking rewards plus TIA upside, but also we're getting the STRD airdrop that is currently ongoing for stTIA holders on the Stride blockchain, which means we should be coming out at a roughly 3-digit APR in total. And also we're kind of long on TIA, right? So that's one very decent way how to maximize yield. Note, however, that you have debt here, 276 IST, that you will need to pay in order to get back your stTIA collateral. Now, if you want to use stable tokens to mint IST, you can also go on psm.inter.trade, connect your Kepler wallet, and then you can actually use one of these stable tokens, axelar bridged or gravity bridged, or even native USDC is also integrated here, and native USDT, to then mint IST, or basically swap into IST, because obviously that's at a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, if you're not a seasoned crypto veteran and DeFi degen, I actually rather recommend you to take the easy route. What is the easy route? The easy route is just to go on ibc.fun or Squid Router or any DEX and just purchase IST on the open market. Another way to get hands on IST, if you only have fiat and want to get directly onboarded from USD, you can use kato.money, app.kato.money. You can come here and you can choose IST. And there we go. You can say you want to purchase $200 worth of IST. You connect your Kepler wallet, and then you should be able to see how many IST you would be getting, 192. You continue here, you choose your email address, and then you can use one of these multiple providers, Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, SEPA, and so on and so forth, to purchase your IST. And this actually brings me to my first use case and first example on how to maximize your yield in Cosmos DeFi using IST. And that opportunity is actually on ShadeSwap. Shade protocol is a privacy-enabled DeFi suite, a DeFi product suite, where you have a bunch of pools, including a very interesting Silk and IST pool with 42.6% in APR. Note, however, that this is extremely risky. The liquidity is very, very thin. Only $85,000 in liquidity are here, but I think it's a very interesting pool. I'm very bullish also on Shade protocol and what the Shade team has built with Silk. Just to remind you, Silk is also an over-collateralized algorithmic stable token that is packed not to the US dollar like Inter and IST is, but actually packed to a basket of assets such as the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, the Japanese yen, Bitcoin, Euro, and gold. So now the question is, how do we actually get our Silk and IST onto the Shade chain if we have Atom on a Cosmos Hub chain and we don't want to mint either of those tokens, but we actually want to buy them? And to be honest, the answer there is also not the most straightforward one. It's still quite a hassle to get there. There's not many ways. You can't use ibc.fun. There's also no liquidity on osmosis for the Silk token, for example. So it's a bit of a hassle. And also you need to think now that whatever we do in Shade protocol, we're actually doing on secret network. So we actually need SCRT as the native gas token on that chain. Then we'll actually just swap 40 Atom directly into SCRT on the secret network blockchain. And then we'll just do that in one transaction. Boom, now you see we have 811 SCRT right here, natively on the secret network blockchain. Now we actually have to swap that into Silk and IST. And we can do that right here on ShadeSwap by just going right here, secret, and then we choose Silk. We put 400 secret that we want to swap into Silk. Transaction went through. And now we're also going to do the same for IST. So boom, also done. Now we head over to pools and we search here for IST. You can always see Silk IST. We click on that. That's the pool that we want. Now we actually have to create viewing keys for both of our tokens here. You can see Silk and IST, but we actually have to create viewing keys to be able to see those tokens. So now we see our balances here, and technically we have three options. We can also do single asset deposits here for Silk or IST respectively. And the reason why there's actually a 2-to-1 ratio instead of a 50-50 allocation between the two assets in that pool, which is what it's supposed to be, is because the liquidity is still extremely thin, and at the same time people are also trading. So there's an imbalance between the two assets in that pool, and that eventually should get arbed out. And this is also what is actually called impermanent loss from a liquidity provider's perspective, because if you provide liquidity for two assets and people trade, there's inevitably going to be one asset that will be purchased more using the other, right? So even though you're supplying right now more IST than Silk, and let's say in the next couple of weeks, there's more liquidity that comes in and this gets balanced out, so that's a 50-50 a distribution again, you're not actually losing money because both of these tokens are stable tokens. So in dollar terms, nothing changes. You probably just will be getting out more Silk than what you put in, and you get less IST out than you put into that pool. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of impermanent loss, then I highly recommend you to really do your research on that ASAP, because it's extremely important to fundamentally understand. I think once you understand this concept, you know how to assess risks when adding liquidity on those pools. Let's go ahead and just provide liquidity for what we're able to do. And what you can do here now in one click is actually to not only mint the LP shares, but also to stake them. Now we provided liquidity here with our Silk and IST, and we're earning this 41% roughly APR. So the next thing you can do to maximize your yield on IST in Cosmos DeFi is that you can go on Umee, which now rebranded to ux.xyz. Umee is a lending marketplace where you can borrow and lend assets. You also have to verify here if you are from the US or from the UK, because I guess you guys are ineligible to use that. So if you click here, yes, this service is unavailable for you. I'm not in the US or UK, so I can use that. And I just did an IBC.fund trade from Atom into IST on Agoric. Now, if I want to bring them onto the Umee chain on Kepler and just search for Umee, I can just do that right here in Kepler itself. And then it will transfer my assets from Agoric to Umee. And I should be able to see that here on my dashboard. My IST just arrived. I can see that here, 200 IST now available on the Umee network. So I can click here, supply. I'm going to supply the max here, and then I get a 13% APR on my IST, which is quite decent, to be honest. There's also more utilities being explored right now for IST, for example, as a gas token, which I think makes a lot of sense, and some more stuff that I'm going to be keeping you updated over the next couple of weeks and months here on this channel about the development and progress of the Inter protocol and IST.